Hello everyone, my name is Adam Michael Anthony Simpson and you're watching my YouTube channel, Adam M.A. Simpson. Today we'll be speaking with Dr. Marlette Jackson, who currently works as a manager of the Division of Diversity and Inclusion at UT Southwestern. In her personal website, which is in the description box below, Marlette states, "I oversee the institution's strategic approach to promoting a culture of inclusion and belonging." What's more is Marlette actually didn't get her PhD in a STEM field. Marlette got her PhD in political science at Stanford University, where she studied identity politics in Africa and how, people's identity affects their political behavior. This is particularly interesting for the research aspect of this interview and how it translated to, her work in the corporate world. Lastly, Marlette is a very dear friend of mine and Vicky's. She was my big sister here at Stanford, and she looked out for me and gave me advice on how to navigate higher education. And I can sincerely say I would not be doing all of this without Marlette's guidance in those, early years when I was here at Stanford. So I really, really, really would like you guys to watch this interview and learn more about Marlette, because she's gonna be a big deal. She is a big deal, but she's gonna be a big deal soon. So learn more and see what I'm talking about. Also check the description box below for aspects of the interview that you want to fast forward to if you're, running out of time and just want to hear Marlette's response to certain questions. Hello, Marlette. Okay, I'm gonna get straight into it. So please introduce yourself to the viewers, including your background, your college, undergrad college, and graduate school education, and where you are now. Just, introduce yourself.
Thanks so much. Okay, so hello everyone, I'm Dr. Marlette Jackson. I use she, her pronouns. And I guess I can start. I grew up in Palm Beach, Florida. My dad works for law enforcement. My mom kind of works in the education system. And I have a younger sister named Gianna. We are a pretty close family. And I always like to say I must have been the favorite child because my parents, my dad's name is Marvin, my mom's name is Colette. That makes Marlette. And my younger sister's name is Gianna. Do we know how they arrived to that conclusion? No. All I know is they had one good one, and who cares who cares what they named the second child? But no, I'm just, we grew up extremely close, and I think having my parents come from different kind of cultural backgrounds was really influential in my upbringing. So my dad grew up in rural Mississippi, and my mom grew up in Palm Beach, Florida. And those were just very different distinct cultures. So because of my dad's upbringing, I grew up with a heightened and acute sense of awareness when it comes to my racial identity, because he had to go through a lot when it came to navigating straight up racism. He actually in middle school had to go through, or in elementary school had to go through integrating schools. He recalls getting spat on, being called the N-word, all that stuff. And having to navigate stuff that I hopefully will never have to face in my life. And my mom grew up in kind of Palm Beach, Florida, which is much more diverse. You have people from a variety of different backgrounds. And so her kind of navigating those types of issues wasn't as severe. So it was just interesting growing up with those different kind of ways of being and knowing and identifying and navigating cultures. But grew up in South Florida, moved to Texas when I was 13, moved to Fort Worth. That was a challenge for my sister and I, because we went from beaches to cowboy boots, and we were like, what is this? Who said we wanted? It was
Yeah, yeah. Texas is a whole country on its own. It's like it's America and Texas.
I'm going to love it, but at first, when we first moved here, like where my parents live now, it's a bunch of commercial property. Like it's amazing, very packed and busy, but amazing. When we first moved here, across from the development, because it was a new development that they were building, there were horses and cows. Y'all moved me to the boondocks. I was highly upset. And it was just a different culture here, kind of navigating, even interacting with different people who are here. Like I was just coming from South Florida, where you have, people from the Caribbean, people from Central America, South America, a lot of places. It was more of like, there's a lot of Black people, a lot of white people, a lot of people identify as Mexican. And so it was just like a different kind of way of navigating and being, and even my identity being modulated in different ways from Florida to Texas. But I was a nerd in all sense of the words, was on the debate team, did student government, got really great grades. My sister was a total opposite. She was an athlete, like she killed it in track and basketball. I tried track in middle school. Clearly, it's actually funny, if you go to my parents' house, there's literally like my sister's like trophies and like awards are everywhere in the game room. And they have like one thing of like Marlette with like her president's award for perfect like attendance and state award. Everything else is like in my room. It's like, but let's talk about Gianna and all athletic accomplishments. I'm like, does no one care about me? It paid off. I got a full scholarship at Texas A&M. Studied a bachelor's in political science there with a concentration in Africana studies, which opened my eyes to African politics, which I studied in grad school. Just learning about the African diaspora, it was amazing. And also that was where kind of my fly identity, or my first generation low-income identity came to be. I never really identified as like a first in my family to go to college, or coming from, this type of income bracket background. It just wasn't something super salient until I got to college, and I was like, thanks. Interesting. This is so interesting. And it was I was made acutely aware that I did not have help navigating this. I had to
find it out on your own.
Exactly.
That's a common theme.
And I was really helped. There was a program called the Regent Scholar Program. So we lived in the same dorm. We took courses together. The faculty knew that we were first and low income. We had a student group. We also was financial, for scholarship. And it was such a robust program. I really credit that to my success because I found friends there. That was the first time I actually learned about research. So there was a girl who was saying she was conducting research for the psychology department. And because I was on Pell Grant, I needed to get a job. And the only job I could find was like working, like scooping ice cream in the cafeteria. And like, I had to wear a hairnet, and I was like, we're cute guys. And I was like, it was just like, I was like, I can't do this. So I was like, okay, this research thing, I don't know what it is, but it's better paying. I don't have to wear a hairnet, and I can like just be in my room, like doing whatever.
Exactly.
So I got into research because I wanted to not have to wear a hairnet. I wanted more money. Program. So it was in undergrad is when I started understanding like what research was. I had a great couple of mentors who really guided me throughout the process. And it was actually at that time A&M had, I believe, 5 or 7 Black women in their PhD program. And that was critical. I was like, they helped me go to my first conference. Everything from what do you wear to how do you present to the slides. Like I stayed with one of them in a hotel, like they walked through how to present yourself professionally at these conferences. And if I hadn't done that with them, I don't know like what would have happened. We presented my first kind of like research. It was a book chapter that ended up getting published. But I presented that in undergrad, and it was that experience of having other Black women who looked like me who were during the PhD process that inspired me to do it too. So then I made the difficult decision to go off to California, to where I went to get my PhD in political science, studying identity politics in Africa, mainly sub-Saharan Africa, mainly East Africa. So most of my research was in Ethiopia, Kenya, and Tanzania, and I did a co-author paper in Tunisia. And it was in grad school that I realized very quickly, this is also another unfamiliar situation I'm gonna have to figure out how to navigate. For the first gen kind of reasons, for the Black woman reasons, for the cultural reasons, coming from Texas culture, Florida culture to California culture, for the religious reasons, identifying someone who identifies as Christian, it was just a lot to unpack. And so I was really happy to find sources of community with the Black Graduate Student Association and the First Gen Low-Income Grad Partnership to do that. And I actually found myself like running away from problem sets and running away from like the people in my department. So I was like, this is just a lot, and running to these spaces where I could see people who looked like me, who were navigating similar situations as me. And that really inspired my desire to do D&I work, because I felt like I was the only X. I was the only Black woman in my cohort for that year. I think we had like 28 or 27 students.
Yeah.
There was only one other Black woman, Rachel, and she kind of guided me throughout that. I think she was a fourth year at the time. So she actually introduced me to the Black Graduate Student Association. She's like, you should get involved. I think, thankfully, she did that. I think that was like super helpful in me kind of finding community and setting me up to when I had to decide between going on the academic job market or, you know, pursuing kind of DEI. I was like, if I've been running away from academia to this other space the entire time, maybe that's where I need to be. And I was really lucky to have great relationships with a lot of the DEI practitioners on campus. So I did a lot of informational interviews with them and was like, hey, like, what is this like? And I figured out that that's what I wanted to do. So I did that, stayed at Stanford for a little bit. And then when I was like, it's time to move back to Texas, got this amazing opportunity, and now I'm here. Sorry, that was really long.
No. That's really good. You touched on many points, and I'm excited that you spoke about them. So, Marlette, when I met you in my first year at Stanford, you were the co-president for the Stanford Black Graduate Student Association, and I actually had an interview with you because I was interested after, I don't know, I think I had a moment of enlightenment when I went to the Welcome Black event. It was the first time that I just saw a congregation of just the African diaspora at Stanford all together, and it was just so inspiring that I wanted to get involved, like to help. And you are co-president with Michael Reddick, which led you to becoming like family to me. You're my big sister at Stanford. You used to drive me to church, University AME, Zion Church, with Pastor Coloma Smith and Lauren Smith, First Lady. And as you spoke about this before, but I see that a lot of your co-curricular activities at Stanford were like pursuing D&I initiatives on campus, mainly to expose underrepresented groups to higher education. For example, being co-founder of Challenge Accepted, which was an initiative to empower the Bay Area Black youth, and being a board member for the Stanford First Generation and/or Low-Income Alumni Board. So, and you said this before, it seems that you had an ultimate goal to pursue diversity, equity, and inclusion work as a career choice during your PhD. So, was this intentional during your PhD, or was this mainly self, like, helping yourself get through, the stresses of doing your PhD? Like, by doing this mentorship work, it kept you sane, or was this like, I'm going to do this as a career?
Honestly, I wish I had thought it out that much in advance that I knew I could do it as a career. And if I had known that I would have done a couple of things differently. But no, I think it was really kind of just a matter of, like I said earlier, like running from one space to another.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was kind of a coping mechanism, but it was also a source and sense of empowerment. I feel like as grad students, we feel so disempowered in so many ways. And I felt like this was something I can control. This was something that I could really have an impact in. This is something that I can like try to leave a legacy in and really help other folks in the ways that people had helped me. Like when I said, in undergrad, seeing all those Black women getting a PhD helped me and inspired me to do it. And I think when I came into grad school, I was fully intentioned on becoming a faculty member. I wanted to work at an institution, teaching African politics, ethnic politics, gender, I wanted to do that. But I think it was through the process where I tried to have to think about what are my ultimate goals in life? What is the impact I want to make? What are the outcomes I want to have? And does that align with what academia can offer me? And slowly but surely it became clear that academia couldn't offer that to me, given what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Whereas when it comes to the impact, the outcomes, when it comes to the values that I kind of align myself with personally, I felt that doing work to create more inclusive spaces that I wish I would have had helped me do that. And so that's kind of why I chose to go on this path as opposed to staying the course in academia, which really was, it came down to the wire because I was a DARE fellow, which you are.
Yes. I helped with that.
I know Nika is probably shaking her head like, girl, you told me, you said you had these role models. And I was like, I sold myself the dream. But when I woke up, I said, no. I was like, this ain't for me, honey. So it was a process going through DARE, where it was amazing. Like they really helped set you up, like I had my research statement written, I had my statement written. I got feedback from peers as well as someone they had come in and consult. And it just came down to, wow, I'm prepared for this. If I want to go for this, I can, because DARE equipped me, but do I want to? And I was like, no, I don't. And towards the end of my PhD career, I had been consulting for this firm that worked in diversity, equity, and inclusion work. So while I was finishing up the PhD, finishing up the dissertation, I was doing consulting work at tech companies. And I was like, this is cool.
This is cool. Yeah.
I was like, I can go into a space, analyze a couple of surveys they did, conduct focus groups, look at their pipeline program, pinpoint areas of opportunity, give them strategies, see the impact. I was like, in academia, I would have to go through this whole process, try to think about, is this theory correct? Try to think about, are people going to like this? Are going to read it? Do something. I think also a role was that some part of the things that I'm interested in are niche topics, right? So what's going to make you famous as an academic? I'm not sure what I was interested in pursuing would. So also in terms of the impact there, I was like, I feel like the impact is kind of in this other space where I can apply the skills I've gained from my PhD here in a way that I'm like, wow, I can help create more inclusive spaces. So that's kind of how I ended up going that route. It wasn't intentional, but
it wasn't intentional. I mean, well, on paper, it looks intentional. So I think that's, but I mean, I think it all works. I mean, everything happens for a reason. And you clearly found where you could impact America by, you know, taking advantage of all of these opportunities. And I also think that in academia, we tend to only have impact within our circle, but by having academics seek more corporate jobs, like I see you writing books about DEI in corporate America, and I don't know, CNN correspondent Marlette. I mean,
you have faith in me.
I mean, you're already going down that route. You've already published in the Harvard Business Review and Forbes, and keep on doing it. I'm seeing such influential work coming out of your position, and yeah, I'm just excited to see where it goes from here. So I think you've answered all of these questions.
I talk too much. That's the academic. I talk too much.
No, I mean, I think you're it's all good. I'm doing the least. Like, you're doing all of the work. Thank you for watching part 1 of this interview with Marlette. Stay tuned for part 2, which will be released tomorrow morning. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell button if you want to, you know, hear or get notifications of when I've uploaded a new video.